I am an addict. I know it's hard to hear these words maybe for you, but I promise it's harder for me to say them. And for those of you that have been around the channel for quite some time, you're very well aware that I am an addict. And I've been addicted to all kinds of things. There was the time when I was addicted to cosplaying as governing body members.
Now, I know you're probably not thinking to yourself, what is a young one? But I have an insatiable desire to define rudimentary words, and I will do so now. One time, I heard an expert who was quoting a scientist who once had a conversation with a linguist that once defined young ones as immature children. But you might be asking yourself, is this the only definition? No. This would also include immature teenagers. With that understanding, you're probably asking yourself, what can I do as a Christian parent to raise my child to Christian maturity?
After Armageddon, there's going to be no need for historians or scientists or lawyers or doctors, but there will be need for construction workers. That's why we want the very best for all of our young people. We don't want them to lose out on a chance for everlasting life. So, that's why we take the stand on giving people the very best education, the one that leads to everlasting life. Not only that, it's the best life now and forever. Oh, are you okay? Oh, I'm sorry. I usually wait for applause.
There was that time when I thought I could communicate with the other side by stimulating my senses with nipple clamps and face paint.
Lie down place where everything is poisonous and it's trying to kill you. I'm gonna be so real with you, pal. I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
And lest anyone forget, I was addicted to doing wicked stunts involving wine around the Now, I don't want this to be a pity party, so please wipe the tears out of your eyes. I don't want you feeling sorry for me. I want this to be a celebration, nay, a triumph of what the human spirit is capable of. We can break free from our addictions. We can break the chains and live a free and fulfilled life. Unfortunately, though, not everyone can break the addictions that I have. Because today we're going to talk about the Watchtower and Bible Tract Society's addiction with buying and selling real estate. Yes, they are back at their old tricks once again, and I'm here to laugh at them and kind of scratch my nuts and say, why? Please, can someone explain to me why they need all of these multi-million-dollar properties? Let's talk about it. Hello and welcome back to the JW Thoughts channel. My name is Wally and today we are talking about some new purchases that the Watchtower has made. Quickly before we get into it, don't forget to drop a like on the video. It only takes a half a second and it makes a massive difference in how the video performs in the YouTube algorithm and is very much appreciated by me. With all of that being said, let's jump right into this thing. On June 26, 2026, Jehovah's Witness purchased a 28-hectare property across the lake from the world headquarters in Warwick, New York. The property includes an existing 40,000 square meter office building and data center formerly used by IBM. Given its proximity to the existing Bethel facilities in Warwick, this new property will be called the Blue Lake facility. It is not currently open for tours. And then a spokesperson says it's going to play a key role in support of kingdom interests worldwide. So don't really know entirely what that means, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't know what that means either. But maybe the intrigue is in being vague. And then they just briefly mentioned that they have the Ramapoop Media Center that is progressing rapidly. Watchtower is expanding, and now they have this entire lake all to themselves. If you look at an aerial view, this was the other property that was adjacent to them on this lake, and now they have full clearance of all satanic propaganda. No data centers need apply unless it's Jehovah's data center. Then it's all good to go. But this thing is pretty huge, pretty massive, and I keep wondering, what are these things actually being used for? What is with Watchtower's addiction to buying these massive properties? Now, normally Watchtower would say how much they purchased the property for, because usually in these press releases they do that, but we're not so lucky this time, so we're going to have to kind of infer what this might be, and there is a couple news articles that we will take a quick look at. So taking a look at a article for the Rockland County Business Journal, we get a little bit more info. The Jehovah's Witnesses have been expanding their footprint in the Hudson Valley over the past decade, including the construction of a massive media center in Rockland County, purchased its first data center along Long Meadow Road in Warwick. Kendrell Inc., which spun off from IBM in 2021, sold the 68-acre Sterling Forest business resilience, blah, 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 for an undisclosed sum to the Watchtower Bible Tract Society, the primary legal corporation, which says the property will provide additional flexibility to support the growing global needs of Jehovah's Witnesses. The group says it uses digital infrastructure to host their proprietary internal databases, run the JW.org platform, and manage worldwide operational communications. The property is located next to, we already talked about that, data centers. Obviously, people aren't super happy with data centers, but boy howdy hey, it's God's little data center now. So now this is actually pretty interesting. Jehovah's Witness spokesperson Jason Hull wrote, a recent opportunity arose to purchase a property in Orange County, New York, adjacent to our world headquarters. We are currently evaluating how the facility may best support our future operational needs, and have yet to finalize specific plans for its use. So, they don't even know why they purchased it. They're just kind of sussing it out, making an evaluation. Like, well, it seemed like an exceptional value. It seemed nice to have another big shiny building, and it feels like this little blue lake is ours now. Not entirely sure what we're actually going to do with the thing. I find that really fascinating because, like I said, normally they would tell the price that they paid for it, but here they're not actually disclosing that, and their spokesperson is saying we're not entirely sure, we're trying to figure out what we're going to do with it. And to an ordinary Jehovah's Witness hearing about this, they might be like, don't you think that if, we're using our donated money here, we're using Jehovah's, just taken from Jehovah's coffers, don't you think we should at least have a plan? A reason, some type of internal logic as to what we're going to actually use this facility for? But like I said, they are addicted to buying commercial real estate. It's just their favorite activity to do. Doesn't matter if they need it. Doesn't matter if it's going to be put to good use and maximize efficiency, or it's going to accomplish anything. Because whenever they do this, I always sit back and say, why? Why are they expanding their Bethel facilities? What is so important that's going on at Bethel that you need to be expanding to the tune of a 433,000 square foot office space and data center. That is insane. And this is on top of the 1.6 million square foot media studio that they're already building, which is on top of the $32 million, maybe I'll actually talk about that later, that they spent on that Fishkill renovation support place, which is on top of the renovation that they did at the Patterson a couple of years ago for a Bible museum and a visitor center. Why are they spending hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars buying and renovating properties in upstate New York when, if you look at their media output, the magazines, the books, the tracts that they produce, the Bibles, everything, the videos, take it all together, that is going down. They are making less and less as time goes on. The last video I talked about what they had in 2006. They were eating good. Full feature-length movies, magazines every week, multiple books, Kingdom, the whole kit and caboodle. And now in 2026, you get like one magazine per year. You get just a little mini series of Jesus that is absolutely absurd that I don't know. Well, that'll be a video maybe in a couple of days from now, but I think I figured out who that is for. And I was a little bit surprised by it, but I won't get completely lost in the weeds here. The article continues, it's unclear why a religious order would purchase a data center without first evaluating why it needs one. Kyndryl has been selling off some of its data centers, pivoting to a sale-leaseback strategy. That's just irrelevant. I had a conspiracy theory that they had a significant stake in Kyndryl as a company, but couldn't really connect any dots specifically there. Goes and talks about Jared Kushner buying their properties in New York, blah, blah, blah. And this article does mention something. So for anyone that doesn't know, I did make a separate video about that, but I'll just reiterate it here again. The Society purchased the Woodmont Hills 384-unit rental complex from Woodmont Properties for an undisclosed sum and renamed it Woodgrove at Sterlington. At the time, the order said it planned to occupy only 7 of the 16 rental buildings in the complex. The rest were leased on the open market. Woodmont Properties, a regional real estate developer based in New Jersey, began building Woodmont Hills, a luxury rental complex on a wooded parcel about Route 17. The project, approved by the town of Ramapo in 2014, took a long time to come to fruition because of opposition from Slotsburg village residents who were concerned about traffic safety, among other issues. The property required additional work, including widening, blah, blah, blah. None of that actually matters. But in 2025, tenants who lived in the complex since it opened were forced to leave because the Jehovah's Witness-owned property turned the entire 384 rental complex into housing for its volunteers. Tenants said they've seen the writing on the wall, saying the property management company has used arbitrary measures to raise rents and that access to amenities that paying renters finance have been commandeered by the volunteers and contractors who live for free. The property has become increasingly transient, with lodgers living in apartments for brief periods of time. So yeah, it doesn't matter if it's a data center or a luxury apartment complex or just a big old forest. Watchtower wants it. If it's for sale, they're going to get their greedy little grubbers all up in there. Now, as far as the pricing of this goes, there is a Warwick Valley Dispatch news article that has this to say. Also, just the recent purchase of the former IBM data center adjacent to the Jehovah's Witness World Headquarters in Warwick, an acquisition first reported. The 68-acre property is currently assessed at approximately $54 million, making it one of Warwick's largest commercial properties. Under New York law, property used exclusively for religious purposes may qualify for exemption from local property taxation. This particular parcel is Warwick's third largest property taxpayer, contributing roughly $100,000 annually to the town's tax base and approximately $400,000 to the Tuxedo School District. While acknowledging the potential fiscal impact, we're just going to move on. Emphasize that the town's concerns are not directed at the Jehovah's Witnesses themselves, but at the broader implication for Warwick's tax base. He described the organization, whose world headquarters has been located in Warwick for nearly a decade, as a value member of the community. Jehovah's Witnesses are excellent neighbors who contribute to our local economy and consistently support our small businesses. However, the potential loss to our tax base is significant, and we are carefully weighing all available options moving forward. Now, this is a pretty big problem when Watchtower continues to buy up all of this land to use public resources, roads, water, power, all of that stuff, and then they don't pay any taxes. It can create a significant burden on a small town like this. As they said, it's their third largest tax contributor, or was it the third? Yeah, largest tax contributor. Like, that is a huge loss for that school district. That is a huge loss for public services in that area. And it might be cute that the witnesses will pat themselves on the back and be like, hey, our roof is green and we recycle water. That's cool, but show me the money. Like, we need to come through with this. So it'll be interesting. I mean, to see like what happens, what the pushback is from the larger public. Watchtower isn't really in anyone's good graces. I think I talked about that in another video again, but there were local people complaining about some of the road closures and how it's just impossible to get in and out of town because of all the construction at the Ramapo Media Center. You had people complaining about them purchasing the apartment complex there. Again, being forced out, rents going up, Jehovah's Witnesses commandeering all of the community centers and everything that people are paying for. So I don't think they have a lot of goodwill with them. So why do they have goodwill with some of the public officials? I'll leave that up to your imagination. But we do have the number here. It has an estimated approximate value of $54 million. And as I always do in these instances, I like to talk about what Watchtower themselves reports for helping people worldwide. What charitable giving do they do? And it's pathetic. It is egregious for any rational thinking person to think it's okay for Watchtower to pat themselves on the back for saying, oh yeah, we spent 10, 12, $15 million worldwide, helping with disaster relief or things like that. But they never, ever officially say how much of that goes to repairing properties they already own. Is that number that they give, that, oh, we spent $12 million doing disaster relief worldwide, what percentage of that is going to just fixing properties that you already own? Because if whatever that is, you have to negate that. That is not charitable giving. Fixing buildings that you own is not doing any type of charity. And clearly they have the cash to do more. It's obvious to anyone that's keeping their finger on the pulse of this situation. Watchtower has the cash to help people, and they choose not to. They don't even know why they're buying this estimated $54 million building. Couldn't even tell you. Well, it seemed like a good opportunity. And yet Jehovah's Witnesses all around the world are going hungry. They don't have jobs. They don't have adequate health care. They have mounting medical debt. All these different things that if the organization just woke up tomorrow and said, I think we should increase our charitable giving budget from $10 to $15 million to $100 to $150 million, because at the end of the day, we're using that type of money to buy buildings that we're not even sure what we're going to do with them. Let's actually do what Jesus might speculate on doing and think, maybe I'm going to actually use this cash to help people. which is the entire reason they have their tax exempt status, by the way, so that way it can free up money. If you just took all of Watchtower's properties that they own, right? And you say, okay, how much money would they have to pay in property taxes per year? And said, okay, well, we're not paying that in property taxes, so that's going to be our budget for charitable giving. And then whatever we get, from donations, from our investments, which is probably, I would hazard a guess that makes up the vast majority of the money that they actually make, especially with markets going actually insano style as they are right now. I know Watchtower is sitting fat and happy right now as far as their finances are concerned. And I just think it's a reasonable thing. Hey, how much do you save in not paying property taxes because you're tax exempt as a religious organization? Okay, just make half of that. Even if they made half of that, their charitable giving budget, it would ameliorate so many problems that ordinary Jehovah's Witnesses have to go through. But they won't. They won't. Because they're too busy feeding in their addiction. This is from April 21st. I don't believe I actually covered this at all, but they build a new Fishkill Bethel facilities, which is 40 miles north of the world headquarters. This new support center consists primarily of 3 buildings. This 2-story office building features receiving dock, medical offices, and space for hair care, and other personal services. It also includes a multi-purpose room which can seat 300 people. Later this year, our brothers will begin to use this room to host spiritual programs like the Watchtower study. Yippee! A maintenance building is home to various workshops and small office area. A 3rd building hosts exercise and recreational facilities, along with 3 buildings. The 23-hectare Fishkill support site also features picnic areas and other outdoor amenities for use by the Bethel family. So, if you need a haircut or you want to play some baseball, well, head on up to the Fishkill site for the Bethel family. Yippee-ki-yay. I wonder how much Watchtower spent on this bad boy. The project, which costs approximately $38 million to complete. So, when it comes to, I don't know, making a haircutting place and some picnic areas for Bethel family, Bethelites to use, hey, we can drop $38 million on that. When it comes to, this is in April that it finally finished. When it comes to speculating on buildings that you're not even entirely sure what the heck you're going to do with them, just throw 50 mil at that. It doesn't make any sense from any perspective whatsoever. Now, the one thing that does make sense in all of this is something that I've been sort of alluding to for probably about 1.5 years, 2 years now. And that is, I'm pretty sure that they just want to get rid of their Patterson facility. And they want to sell that, despite, like I said before, recently upgrading that and adding a new visitor center and whatnot. It's all fancy and sparkly. But I think they want to shut down the Patterson area and try and consolidate as much as humanly possible. I don't know how much cost savings would be involved with that, but I think the closer that they can be, the closer that they can just monitor things, keep their eye on what's going on, and maybe it's just less of a headache to have everything within walking distance. So the town of Warwick, be careful out there. I know it's going to be a tough time for you as the Jehovah's Witness slowly, start buying up all of the properties in that area. There's kind of a big neighborhood that sits right in between this Blue Lake and where they're building their media center. So I don't know. I mean, I could envision a world where the Jehovah's Witness go full cult mode. They buy up this whole neighborhood. All Jehovah's Witnesses can live there, and then they can work at the various facilities and have their own little version of paradise. Who really knows when it comes to all of this? But one of the advantages of having a lot of area in these various Bethel facilities is that if you happen to be in the audio video department, this isn't conspiracy. If you happen to be in the audio video department, you might have access to some of the equipment that Watchtower uses to make their films. Some very high level, very expensive equipment. And who knows, you might even be able to use that to make your own independent film. How crazy would it be if a Jehovah's Witness was using their access via Bethel to operate and make a independent sci-fi film? This isn't a speculation. This is very real. I'll be talking about it here in the next couple of days, though, so be on the lookout for that video as well. With all of that being said, stay safe, be kind, and don't forget to spend more time loving the things you love than hating the things you hate. I'm trying not to cough, so you better have a good-ass day.